I never thought I'd be sharing something like this on Reddit. But here I am. My life has been turned upside down, and I'm still struggling to make sense of it all. I guess I should start from the beginning. I'm 28, and I have a younger sister, Barbara, who's 26. We grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone else's business. Our parents were high school sweethearts who got married young and had us in quick succession. They always emphasized the importance of family, loyalty, and sticking together through thick and thin. Barbara and I were inseparable growing up. We shared a room until I was 16, and even then we'd spend hours talking late into the night. Our childhood wasn't perfect. Our dad lost his job when I was 12 and things were tight for a few years, but we got through it as a family. Mom picked up extra shifts at the diner, and Dad eventually found work at the local factory. Barbara and I learned to be resourceful, shopping at thrift stores and making our own fun. Those tough times brought us even closer. As we got older, Barbara and I would talk about our dreams for the future. We'd plan our weddings, picking out imaginary dresses and dreaming up our perfect husbands. I always pictured myself with someone kind and steady, while Barbara dreamed of a more exciting, adventurous type. It's funny how life turns out so differently from what you imagine. I met Bill when I was 24. I had just started my first real job after college, working as an assistant at a local marketing firm. Bill was a graphic designer at the company, a few years older than me. He caught my eye immediately with his easy smile and quick wit. We started talking at the office Christmas party, and before I knew it, we were dating. Bill was everything I thought I wanted. He was kind, funny, and seemed to genuinely care about me. He got along well with my family, especially Barbara. Looking back, I wonder if I should have seen that as a red flag, but at the time, I was just happy that my boyfriend and my sister got along so well. We dated for a year before Bill proposed. It was a fairy tale moment. He took me to the beach at sunset, got down on one knee, and presented me with a beautiful ring. I was over the moon. Barbara was the first person I called after I said yes, and she screamed with excitement over the phone. Our wedding was a big affair. It seemed like the whole town turned out to celebrate. Barbara was my maid of honor, of course. She threw me an amazing bachelorette party and helped with all the wedding planning. On the day of the wedding, she gave a beautiful speech about sisterhood and finding true love. She talked about how happy she was that I had found my perfect match, and how she couldn't wait to find her own Bill someday. If only I knew then what I know now. The first 2 years of our marriage were good, or at least I thought they were. Bill and I had our ups and downs, like any couple, but we always managed to work things out. We bought a small house in our hometown, not far from my parents. We talked about starting a family, though we agreed to wait a few years until we were more financially stable. I thought we were on the same page about everything. I started noticing changes in Bill about 6 months ago. He became distant, always on his phone and working late more often. At first, I chalked it up to stress at work. His company had taken on some big new clients, and I knew he was under pressure to deliver. I tried to be supportive, making sure dinner was ready when he got home late and giving him space when he seemed preoccupied. Looking back, I realized that was around the time Barbara started acting strange, too. She'd cancel our weekly sister lunches, saying she was too busy with work or had other plans. She started avoiding family gatherings, and when she did show up, she looked guilty and uncomfortable. I asked her a few times if everything was okay, but she'd just brush me off, saying she was stressed about work or having guy troubles. I tried to rekindle things with Bill. I planned a weekend getaway for us, thinking some time alone might help. We went to a cozy bed and breakfast in the mountains, and for a while, things seemed better. We hiked, had romantic dinners, and talked like we used to. But as soon as we got home, Bill retreated into himself again. Last month, everything came crashing down. We were at my parents' house for our monthly family dinner. These dinners were a tradition my mom started when Barbara and I moved out. Her way of making sure we all stayed connected. Usually, they were lively affairs, with everyone talking over each other and sharing stories from their week. This dinner was different. There was an undercurrent of tension that I couldn't quite put my finger on. Barbara wasn't feeling well and had excused herself to lie down in her old room. I noticed my mom and dad exchanging worried glances, and Bill seemed unusually quiet. After dinner, I went upstairs to check on Barbara. As I approached her room, I heard her crying. I was about to knock when I heard her say Bill's name. Confused, I listened closer and heard her sobbing about being pregnant and not knowing what to do. My heart stopped. I burst into the room, demanding answers. Barbara's face went white, and she started stammering apologies. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My sister and my husband had been having an affair for months, and now she was pregnant with his child. I ran downstairs, feeling like I was going to be sick. To my horror, I saw the looks on my parents' and other relatives' faces. They knew. They all knew, and no one had told me. My own mother tried to calm me down, saying we could work this out as a family. She actually suggested that I forgive Bill and Barbara, that we could raise the baby together. I've never felt so betrayed and alone in my life. I left that night and haven't spoken to any of them since. I packed a bag and checked into a hotel. The next day, I went home while Bill was at work and grabbed more of my things. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter with a note telling him I knew everything and that he shouldn't try to contact me. That was 3 weeks ago. I'm now living in a small apartment on the other side of town, trying to piece my life back together. I've blocked Bill's number and all my family members on social media. The only person I'm in touch with is my best friend from college, Sarah, who's been an absolute lifeline through all of this. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering how I could have been so blind. Were there signs I missed? How long had this been going on? How could Barbara, my own sister, do this to me? And my family? How could they keep this from me? I feel like my entire life has been a lie. I'm not sure what I'm looking for by posting this. Advice? Support? I just feel so lost and alone. I know I need to start thinking about divorce, but the thought of dealing with lawyers and paperwork makes me sick to my stomach. How do I even begin to move on from something like this? For now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I go to work, come home to my empty apartment, and try not to fall apart. I've started running again, something I used to love but gave up when I got married. It helps clear my head, even if just for a little while. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I can't go back to that family. The betrayal runs too deep. I'm angry, hurt, and so tired. But I'm also determined to rebuild my life on my own terms this time. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. Any words of encouragement or advice would be appreciated. I never thought I'd be starting over at 28, but here I am. Update 1. 2 months later. It's been 2 months since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone who commented and sent messages of support. Your kind words and advice have been a lifeline during this difficult time. The biggest news is that I found out I'm pregnant. Yes, you read that right. I'm pregnant with Bill's child. The irony of this situation isn't lost on me. I discovered this about a month ago, which means I'm now around 12 weeks along. Barbara is about 16 weeks pregnant. When I first saw those 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test, I felt a mix of emotions I can't even begin to describe. Shock, disbelief, anger, and oddly, a tiny spark of joy that was quickly overshadowed by the circumstances. I realized that Bill and I must have conceived during our weekend getaway, just days before I found out about his affair with Barbara. I spent days agonizing over what to do. Part of me wanted to terminate the pregnancy and cut all ties with my past life. But as I sat in the clinic waiting for my appointment, I found myself thinking about my childhood, about the love and security I felt growing up. Despite everything that's happened, I realized I wanted to give my child that same sense of love and belonging. So, I've decided to keep the baby. It's not an easy decision, and I'm terrified of being a single mother, but I'm also determined to give this child the love and support it deserves. I know it won't be easy, but I keep reminding myself of how my parents managed when times were tough. If they could do it, so can I. I finally filed for divorce last week. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but also oddly liberating. I hired a lawyer who specializes in complex divorce cases, and she's been incredibly supportive. We're pushing for a quick resolution, given the circumstances. Bill tried to contact me when he was served the divorce papers. He left voicemails begging me to reconsider, saying he made a mistake and still loves me. In one message, he talked about our first date, how nervous he was, and how he knew that night that I was the one. Hearing that just made me angry. How could he say those things and then do what he did? My family's reaction to the divorce has been disappointing, to say the least. My mother called, trying to convince me to work things out for the sake of the babies. She doesn't know I'm pregnant yet. I haven't told anyone in my family. When I refused to even consider reconciliation, she had the audacity to say I was being selfish and tearing the family apart. She brought up how we always stuck together through tough times, like when Dad lost his job. But this isn't the same, and I wish she could see that. Barbara sent me a long email, full of apologies and excuses. She said she never meant for any of this to happen, that she and Bill were drunk one night and things just happened. As if that makes it okay. She talked about how close we used to be, how much she misses me. She said she's miserable and feels guilty every day. Part of me wants to feel sympathy for her, but I just can't. She made her choices, and now she has to live with them. I'm going through this pregnancy alone while my family rallies around Barbara. It hurts, but I'm trying to focus on myself and my baby. I've started prenatal yoga classes and joined an online support group for single mothers. It helps to talk to other women who understand what I'm going through. Work has been a welcome distraction. I threw myself into a big project, and my boss has been understanding about my need for doctor's appointments. I haven't told anyone at work about the pregnancy yet, but I know I'll have to soon. I'm nervous about how it might affect my career, but I'm trying to stay positive. As for my living situation, I'm still in the small apartment. It's not ideal for raising a child, but it's all I can afford right now. I'm hoping that once the divorce is settled, I'll be in a better financial position to find a more suitable place. For now, I'm making the best of it, slowly turning the spare room into a nursery. I have my first ultrasound next week. It's bittersweet, knowing I'll be there alone while Barbara probably has the whole family supporting her. But I'm trying to stay positive and focus on the miracle growing inside me. I've started talking to the baby, telling it stories about my childhood and promising that no matter what, it will always be loved. Sarah, my college friend, has been amazing through all of this. She's offered to come with me to the ultrasound, and knowing I'll have someone there is a huge relief. She's also been helping me research everything I need to know about being a single mom. I don't know what I'd do without her. That's where things stand now. I'm taking it one day at a time, trying to stay strong for myself and my baby. Some days are harder than others. There are moments when I miss my old life so much it hurts. But then I feel the baby move, and I'm reminded that I'm not alone. I have a whole new life growing inside me, and that gives me the strength to keep going. Thank you again for all your support. It means more than you know. Update 2, 7 months later. It's been a while since my last update, and a lot has changed. I'm now in the final weeks of my pregnancy, and it's been quite a journey. The biggest news is that Barbara lost her baby. My cousin reached out to tell me that Barbara had a stillbirth about 2 months ago. Despite everything that's happened, my heart broke for her. No one should have to go through that kind of loss. I remember how excited we used to get as kids when one of our aunts or family friends had a baby. We'd beg to babysit, planning all the things we'd teach our future children. The thought of Barbara going through this loss alone, without me by her side, is painful. I sent a brief condolence message through my cousin, but maintained my distance. As for my pregnancy, it hasn't been easy, but I'm hanging in there. I found out I'm having a boy, which filled me with a mix of joy and anxiety. I've been preparing as best I can, setting up a small nursery in my apartment and attending childbirth classes. It's hard doing this alone, but I'm determined to give my son the best life possible. I've been reading all the parenting books I can get my hands on, trying to prepare myself for what's to come. The divorce was finalized last month. It was a long and draining process, but it's finally over. Bill tried to contest it at first, especially when he found out I was pregnant. He suddenly wanted to make things right and be there for the baby. He talked about how his own father wasn't around much when he was growing up, and how he didn't want that for his son. But I couldn't help thinking that if he really cared about being a good father, he wouldn't have done what he did. I refused his attempts at reconciliation. My lawyer was amazing and made sure I got a fair settlement. It's not much, but it's enough to give me a fresh start. My family's reaction to my pregnancy was mixed. My mother was overjoyed at first, thinking this meant I would reconcile with Bill. When I made it clear that wasn't happening, she became cold and distant. She's tried to guilt me into letting Bill be part of the baby's life, saying my son deserves to know his father. She keeps bringing up how close our family has always been, how we've always believed in second chances. But this isn't about second chances. It's about protecting myself and my child from more pain. Barbara reached out after losing her baby. She was a mess, begging for forgiveness and saying she wanted to make amends. She talked about all the plans we used to make as kids, how we always said we'd raise our children together. Part of me felt for her, remembering the sister I used to be so close to, but the wound is still too fresh. I told her I needed time and space and that I couldn't be there for her right now. Bill and Barbara got married in a small ceremony last month. My cousin told me it was a somber affair, more out of obligation than love. Apparently, they're both miserable but feel trapped by their choices. I try not to think about them too much, but it's hard not to wonder how things would have been different if they had just been honest from the start. As my due date approaches, things have gotten complicated. Bill and my family have been pressuring me to let them be involved in the baby's life. They've sent gifts, which I've returned. My mother even showed up at my apartment unannounced, trying to force her way in. She brought a bunch of my old baby things that she'd saved all these years, talking about family traditions and how important it is for the baby to know his roots. I had to threaten to call the police before she left. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I've made it clear to everyone that I don't want any of them at the hospital when I give birth. I've spoken to the hospital administration and my doctor explaining the situation. They've assured me that my wishes will be respected and that no one will be allowed to see me or the baby without my explicit permission. It's sad that I have to take these measures, but I need to protect my peace of mind. My support system now consists of a few close friends and some amazing people I've met through support groups. They've been invaluable, offering emotional support and practical help as I prepare for motherhood. Sarah, my college friend, has been especially amazing. She's planning to take some time off work to help me after the baby is born. Her support reminds me that family isn't always about blood. It's about who's there for you when you need them most. Work has been understanding about my situation. I'll be starting my maternity leave soon, and my boss has assured me my job will be waiting for me when I'm ready to return. I'm grateful for their support, but I'm also anxious about how I'll manage work and a newborn on my own. I've been looking into daycare options and trying to figure out a budget that will allow me to provide for my son while still keeping a roof over our heads. As I sit here, feeling my son kick and move, I'm filled with a mix of emotions. There's fear and uncertainty, but also hope and determination. This isn't the life I imagined for myself, but I'm committed to making the best of it for my son's sake. I've started a journal for him, writing down my thoughts and feelings as I go through this pregnancy. I want him to know how much he was wanted and loved, right from the start, despite the difficult circumstances. I've been thinking a lot about my own childhood lately. I remember the bedtime stories my mom used to tell us, the way my dad would play silly games to make us laugh when times were tough. I want to create those kinds of memories for my son. I may not be able to give him a traditional family, but I can give him all the love and support I have. The apartment is slowly coming together. I've set up the nursery with secondhand furniture and handmade decorations. It's not much, but it's filled with love. I spend hours in there, imagining what it will be like when my son finally arrives. I talk to him, sing to him, and promise him that no matter what, we'll face the world together. I know the road ahead won't be easy. Being a single mother will have its challenges, and I'm sure there will be times when I'll struggle. But I also know that I'm strong, and that my son and I will be okay. I'm learning to take things one day at a time, to celebrate small victories, and to be kind to myself when things get tough. As my due date gets closer, I find myself thinking about the future. Will I ever trust enough to let someone into our lives? Will my son ever know his father or his aunt? I don't have answers to these questions yet. And for now, I'm okay with that. My focus is on bringing this baby into the world and giving him all the love and security I can. I'm nervous about the birth, about being alone in the delivery room. But I'm also excited to meet my son, to hold him in my arms for the first time. I've chosen a name for him, a family name from my mother's side, to honor the good parts of my family history while still keeping my distance from the current situation. Thank you all for your continued support and kind words. It means more than you know. Wish me luck. As I finish writing this, I feel a sense of calm washing over me. Yes, my life has taken an unexpected turn. Yes, there are challenges ahead. But I'm not the same person I was when I wrote my first post. I'm stronger now, more resilient. I've learned that I can survive heartbreak, that I can stand on my own 2 feet. And most importantly, I've learned that I have an infinite capacity for love. Love for the little boy growing inside me, and love for the woman I'm becoming. Whatever the future holds, I know one thing for certain. My son and I will face it together. And that's enough for now.